Hey, it's Tpok. I am back in Symphonic Rain, and we are gonna get to the bottom of why fall is being so strange all of a sudden, but apparently it was the entire time. I don't know. She honestly admitted and shook her head. What?
言わなかった。それでも私はあなたに好きだって言って欲しかったの。
She had a serious expression on her face. If only I could read minds. I think everyone would like to do that. Her words seemed so believable that I was starting to resort to making such foolish wishes. Actually, I had already pretty much started to believe her. If she was lying now, there had been no point in bringing Etsino over. The moment I realized this, my chest began to hurt. She did this for something as stupid as that? She hurt Etsino for that? But then again, to her, this might have been something extremely important.
だからこうして真実を話して、私がどういう人間だったか知ってもらって、その上で一緒にやっていきたいと言っているの。もう一度言うわ。クリスさん、私と一緒に来てくれる？
Fall walked up to me and leaned her face close to mine like before.
クリスさん、私のこと好き？
Having second guesses. I couldn't answer. Yep, I wouldn't be able to answer either. Even though it was the same question as before.
なら嫌い？
I responded with silence to that as well. I hadn't even had enough time to fully wrap my head around the current state of affairs. There was no way I could get my feelings in order that quickly.
何も答えてくれないのね。
It's looking like no. I don't want to be used.
ならあなたも私を利用すればいいじゃない。
How about no? I don't want to use you either.
本当に？何も？
Use her as a partner. I'm assuming that. Oh, I scrolled. I'm assuming that's what she's getting at. That Chris is technically using her as it is because they're partners for nothing.
私のことさっきは好きだって言ってくれたでしょ。その気持ちは今はもう全然残っていないの。
A morsel of that sentiment. He's just second guessing.
答えがないってことは少しは期待していいのかな。
If you want to take it that way, sure. I just don't get why you chose today, the day before we actually have to go and do our, what's it called? Graduation piece. We have to, she's like, okay, I'm gonna destroy the image of me in your eyes. Ready? Perfect timing. She said and began to strip out of her clothes right in front of my eyes. What? Soon all that remained on her was a thin I never know how to pronounce it. Camisole? Camisole. I don't know. As the white skin of the exposed girl burned itself into my retina, I immediately averted my eyes. Stop it.
やめない。
She cooed into my ear after having drawn even closer to me.
私を利用すればいいじゃない。私はあなたのことが好きだって言ってるし。
Oops. Shut up. I don't want to be used, and I don't want to use you.
誰だってしてることよ。私だってあなただって。
The girl's arms gently wrapped themselves around my shoulders. Yeah, shut up. Shut up. I let my anger get the better of me and roughly swept away her arms. Sorry, what happened? I promptly apologized, but then went silent straight after and averted my eyes from her. The bed made some rhythmic creaking noises that gradually... What? Gradually died down. What were you doing? The beating of my heart, on the other hand, gradually flared up, and my ears began to hurt despite it being quiet. I soon became accustomed to the silence and began to hear the girl's steady breathing. And I became unable to ignore the sight of the girl in the corner of my eye. Is she on the bed, or what is... Yeah, okay. She had collapsed onto the bed and was staring at me intently. It inspired compassion as she looked on with eyes filled with both resentment and cries for salvation. Okay, this is just weird. Her voice sounded warped. Or perhaps it was the world that had become warped. Everything ceased to matter to me. And finally she said, "Shut the hell up." What happened? Oh, don't tell me. What happened after that? I could not remember clearly. I never would have thought there was a part in me that could manifest such enormous rage. It wasn't so much anger as it was intense grief and frustration. On the verge of tears, I had done as I pleased. What? Are you kidding me, man? And even though my memory is one big blur, I could fragmentarily recall things like the way she had felt or the way she had smelled in vivid detail. Are you kidding me, man? I positioned myself on the edge of the bed, lethargically looking at the floor. I couldn't even manage a nod to her and kept silent. That's different. I'm sure no one thinks about it the way you do. They're helping each other out. They respect each other, are grateful to have one another, and do things just because they want to do things for each other. What poured forth from my lips was an idealism I barely even believed in myself. But it was the only thing I could think of to oppose her vision. I wondered if that was really true. If having any kind of relationship with someone, or having someone do something for you, meant for you to be using that person, then what she said might hold true. She suddenly murmured.
笑顔で引き受けたり。
I knew that better than anyone else. She was strict with herself and never neglected her duties. Her dreams she once talked to me about, as well as her values she was talking about now, were most likely all genuine.
それもすべて歌を歌って生きていきたいから。
And you need me to achieve this.
そうよ。あなたは私にとって必要なの。
Still didn't know how to answer her. My flared-up emotions had subsided, and perhaps because of that I had lost the will to make a decision. I hadn't completely vanished, it hadn't completely vanished, but it was lying dormant, smoldering somewhere deep inside my body.
一ついい？
Sure.
明日の卒業発表だけはなんとか出てくれないかな。
Why wouldn't I show up?
私はもうクリスさんのパートナーとしての登録を済ませてしまってるから、今さら声楽科の発表には出られないのよ。声楽科の3年生以外ならある程度融通は利くんだけどね。
Then why did you do this now? That's my question.
答えは？
Fall ignored my question and asked for confirmation. I will, I promise.
ありがとう。それで最初の質問だけど、まだ答えなくてもいいから。
I forgot what her first question was. Why not?
まだ悩んでいるみたいだし、すぐに答えを出すことが必ずしも最良ではないから。だから明日本番が終わった後でもう一度話しましょう。
Okay, that's fine with me.
ありがとう。
Okay. I was walking through the dark alleys at night. I really longed for my bed right now. Oh, is Asina gonna jump us? I bet he's mad. I think when she was talking about, Fall was talking about how Asino used me, I think he was using me so he could get closer to Fall because she wanted to get close to me. So he was like, I'm gonna be Chris's friend so Fall will notice me next to him or something similar to that. I don't know. Oh, I hit the play button. Oh, stop. What does the play button do? The rain had suddenly strengthened again, and I felt I didn't have the energy to run, but still walked quickly, okay, as I could muster. I didn't have the energy to run, but still walked home as quickly as I could muster. Walked home as quickly as I could, okay. I'm home. Forney's gone, man. I called out after entering, but there was no response. There was no towel left by the front door, so I had to drag myself to the cabinet to get one. Forney? It was only just past 9, so I hadn't expected her to have already disappeared. But at first I considered she must have days like this as well, but then I realized I hadn't seen her since last night. Concerned, I surveyed the room and spotted a scrap of paper on my desk. There was something scribbled onto it. Goodbye. Ah, dang it, Forney. It was written in awful handwriting. Next to it lay a pen that appeared way too heavy for her to use. What? What did Forney intend to tell me with a single blunt word like that? She's gone? I thought that was obvious. I dumbfoundedly stared at it for a few minutes and abruptly crushed it with all my might. After that emotional upheaval, I immediately became depressed again, and looked back at the crumpled piece of paper in my hand. I then carefully unfolded it and spread it out until the word became readable again. Finally, I inserted it into the drawer I stored the many letters from Arietta and gently closed it. Vernerdi. I woke up early in the morning. Not really, it's 9:30. Even though there was no one to wake me. Today was an important day. I must have unconsciously known that. Morning. The sound of my voice was almost absorbed into the void. There was obviously no answer. I forced myself up and checked the time. We had agreed to practice at 10 o'clock yesterday, but I didn't feel like going. I didn't want to show up completely without preparation either, so I thoughtlessly dragged myself behind my Fortelle. Are we gonna practice? As I played the intro to the piece, it felt like Forney was still right beside me. But no matter how often I looked around or how hard I strained my ears, there was no signs of her. As though a sprite like her had never existed in the first place. I abruptly sprang up, opened my drawer, and reread the letter from Forney. A succinct letter comprising of a single word. I just wanted to reaffirm her existence. I walked back to my Fortelle and put my fingers back on the keyboard. Having gotten confirmation of the footprints Forney had left behind, must have put me at ease, as my fingers moved smoothly this time. It was far from what I should be doing right now, but I didn't care. Thinking this might be the last time I played this piece, I put my heart into it until the final note. I exposed my body to the lingering reverberations so as to never forget. After that, I went to take a shower. Okay, man, you're practicing it. Oh, okay. Our thing is at like 1:15, isn't it? With my body clean, I changed into my How long of a shower was that? That was a 3-hour shower? Jeez. The rain was intense. I felt myself get drenched in a matter of seconds. I headed to school at a pace somewhere between running and jogging. I was going to fulfill my final promise with fall. I didn't want to think about what to do afterward, like having to go back to my hometown or having to find work now that I was no longer a student. I couldn't afford to worry over those things now. All I could think about was how I wished this day would end soon. After I passed through the gate and progressed for a few minutes, I noticed a familiar figure in front of the concert hall. Having nowhere else to go, I idly staggered toward her.
おはようと言ってももうお昼過ぎよ。練習の時間昨日言わなかったっけ？
I practiced by myself. Oh, snap.
まあいいわ。会自体は今は1時間の休憩に入っているから。
So?
本当なら一度だけでも会わせたかったんだけど、その様子だと無理そうね。
If you don't mind, I'd rather not.
一応15分前には舞台の横にいなくてはいけない規則だから、コンサートホールに向かいましょう。
Got it. Oh, are we at 1?
雨は？体は冷えてない？
I'm drenched. Of course I'm cold.
ちょっと来て。
She took me by the hand and dragged me along into the building. Despite it being lunchtime, there was no one to be seen. She most likely foresaw that most students would be at the cafeteria around this time and had chosen to go to the main building instead. The deserted hallway only made me feel even colder.
ちょっと頭を下げて。
Before she even finished her sentence, she forced my head down and produced a towel from her bag, and began wiping my hair with it. What?
風邪でもひかれると、こっちが困るの。
Wrapped in the sensation of the warm towel along with the sweet aroma of soap, I almost inadvertently began smiling with pleasure. I even almost felt a little of my previous feelings of happiness return to me.
では、肝心な時に動かないと困るんだから。
This time she took my hands and rubbed them together with hers a few times.
本当に冷えてるのね。
Yeah? The palms of her hands were warm, proving to me that she was a person of flesh and blood. Well, that was nothing out of the ordinary. It was in severe contrast to her cold and cruel behavior yesterday. Yeah, I'd say so. Just when I thought I should say something and was about to part my lips, someone approached from afar and the girl stopped me.
静かに。
The footsteps gradually grew louder and a man approached us.
ファルシータか。
Who the heck is that guy? He's got like a mustache in his bone structure.
おはようございます。
今日が発表だったか。
ええ、こちらのフォルテール科のクリスさんと一緒にこれからの発表になります。
そうか。君には期待している。
ありがとうございます。
He left without ever even glancing in my direction. Fell saw him off with a smile, then turned to me without changing our expression.
あの貴族が私を拾ってくれた恩人。
You don't like him?
嫌いよ。あいつもあいつの娘もね。
His daughter?
ううん、関係ない話だったね。
Oh, you know what? I bet... Okay. What was her name? The girl I met in the old school building. What was it? Lisa? Lise? 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 I don't know. I think that's the daughter. I have a feeling. She scoffed and stared off into the distance. She took her necklace into her hand and repeatedly stroked the surface. I noticed her do that often. It must have been a habit of hers.
さ、そろそろ時間よ。
Fall said, looking at the clock on the wall before I had the chance to bring it up myself. Okay, so it is 1 o'clock. I'm nervous, to say the least, because I'm assuming I have to play. I was relatively quiet backstage, perhaps due... Oh, it was relatively quiet backstage, perhaps due to it still being lunchtime. I silently prepared my Fortelle behind the drop curtain on the stage as I was instructed to do by one of the students in charge. During that time, Fall never took her eyes off the score, a sight that made me feel a bit relieved. Oh, I cut her off. Miss Cordell, who knew nothing of what was going on between us, addressed her from behind.
はい、すべての準備は終了しています。
それならいい。クリスも大丈夫でな。
I'm fine.
どうかしたのか？
ちょっと緊張しているんだと思います。ね、クリスさん。
She said with her trademark perfect smile. It came so natural to her, it was hard to imagine this girl being capable of spewing out so much hate. Yeah, that was scary. Because that just shows, I don't know, how manipulative she can be. She's... Oh, gosh. Yes, my earlier relief vanished in a flash. Yep. It was the Fall from yesterday standing there after all.
クリス、ファルシータ君。
ごめんなさい。もうじきブザーが鳴りますので。
Fall took my hand and pulled me to the side of the stage, as though trying to keep me away from Miss Cordell.
もうすぐよ。
I didn't have the willpower to force my hand loose, so I just nodded. At that moment, the buzzer resounded through the hall, and the hustle and bustle in the audience beyond the curtain abruptly stopped.
行きましょう。
Why are you mad at me? Okay, I think I'm gonna show this, because this is gonna be... I walked into it as though it was all happening someplace far away. I went to sit in my prescribed location and ran my fingers across the keyboard. Fall turned towards me, seeking my gaze in order to synchronize our breathing. I projected the sight of her talking about her dreams on this stage, which gave me a powerful sense of déjà vu. Soon enough, our respiration had blended together and all preparations was complete. My fingers began playing the intro they had so many times before. Oh, I'm not even playing. Oh no, yeah I am. Okay. I'm gonna show this because it's the last time. I'm gonna play this song by Fall. With Fall, I guess. So now you can see how I really just fail in the beginning and make up all my points in the end. Because I never got this part. I bombed that for some reason. Of course, the one I recorded, I failed. I hope I get to redo that. Please let me. Continue. Yes. Okay. I won't record this. I'll cut this one out. I didn't hit 5 stars, and now I have to continue. Dang it. She looked disappointed. We were given a standard applause, and that was the end of that. Without any time to bask in the afterglow, I noticed from the corner of my eye the performers up next standing backstage. The people in charge urged us to come off the stage, so Fall and I obeyed. She's gonna be mad at me. Miss Cordell and 2 others were awaiting our exit from the stage. Much to my surprise, those 2 were Torta and Asino. Fall whispered into my ear, then left without ever taking the time to approach our visitors. They congratulated me for my performance, Torta with her usual smile, Miss Cordell with a disappointed look on her face. Yep, I did worse. Everyone kept quiet about the result of my performance. As a performer, I knew painfully well what that meant. That was why I also put up a fake smile like Torta's and just nodded politely to whatever was said to me. After finishing the exchange with those 2, I turned to where Asino was standing. He casually waved at me from afar, then disappeared to someplace elsewhere. Leaving some casual goodbyes to Torta and Miss Cordell, I walked away. I bombed. I should have messed up at the end more so I could do better. I already knew the outcome, but it was my duty to go in there and talk to her anyway. She welcomed me casually and calmly. I wanted to talk to you first thing. Have I become a worthless human being to you now?
ひどい言い方するんだね。ねえ、どうして手を抜いたの？
Cut corners.
クリスさんなら一度もミスなんかすることなく演奏できたはずでしょ。
There were too many things on my mind, I couldn't concentrate.
いい音はしてたんだけどね。
Nice tones.
なんでもない。こっちの話。
Anyway, I'm done here. Can I take it you no longer care about me? Full seemed surprised at that, then went silent for a few minutes.
そうね。
Oh, dang it. But the time she spoke again, she had an almost compassionate expression on her face. And she continued.
そうね。きっとあなたはその方が幸せになれるでしょうから。
She said, then produced a heartfelt smile. What are you talking about?
さよなら。
Leaving that, she stepped out of the practice room, leaving my question unanswered. That detached conversation was the last time we talked to each other. After watching her leave and disappear from sight, I followed from afar. That's kind of creepy. While we were heading in the same direction, our paths had already split. She would likely keep following her own path. All I could do was set out to find a new one for myself. I didn't know what would be waiting for me there. For now, I couldn't help but shed a few tears for the girl. So I think because I failed my performance, I ruined it with Fall. Although it's kind of bittersweet, because she was pretty strange in the end. Oh, and that's it. That's the end. So I'm guessing I did not get a good ending. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go back, redo that performance, try and get 5 stars, see if that does anything else. Because I hope it does, kind of. I don't know. I just feel like I want to get the good ending, you know? Anyways, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I got 5 stars this time. I hope that changes something, possibly. Okay, good. The performance was over before I knew it, and we were met with a big round of applause. During the performance, I had been thinking about many things. About Fall, about Forney, and of course about Torta and Ari. Even about Asino and Miss Cordell. Even so, my fingers moved as if they belonged to someone else as they spun together a flawless performance. Yes! I manifested complex emotions, a mix of confusion, sadness, and sometimes anger through my Fortelle. And in the process, even Fall's emotions had been flowing into me. They contained no hesitation. Just a single girl's pure wish for happiness.
クリスさん。
Fall called out to me quietly amidst the ever-continuing applause. Having been pulled back to reality, I bowed to the audience with Fall, then got off stage. Miss Cordell and 2 others were awaiting our exit from the stage. Much to my surprise, those 2 were Torta and Asino.
いつもの練習室で。
Fall whispered into my ear, same thing. And Miss Cordell with a smile quite uncharacteristic of her. Good. They had never been emotionally moved to such an extent by a performance in their life, or so they said. As for Asino, he casually waved at me from afar, then disappeared to some place. Leaving some casual goodbyes to Torta and Miss Cordell, I walked away. I stood before the practice room and took a deep breath. My mind was not in order yet. But since there was no use standing around here, I resolutely opened the door. She was there, and she addressed me casually and calmly.
早かったね。もう少し話してから来ると思ってた。
No, I want to talk to you first thing.
そう。それって少しは期待してもいいって。
Oops. Noticing no answer, she No answer came, she chuckled.
場所を変えましょう。ここじゃ雰囲気も何もないから。
Anywhere is fine for me.
なら行きましょう。
She said nonchalantly and walked out. Amazed at how she could interpret my words as such, I reluctantly followed her in her tracks. Okay, good. I got what I hope is the good ending, unless there's another question. The wisps of rain seemed to be weakening a little. Flo weaved her way through and came to a halt at a certain point along the tree-lined road. The branches and leaves of a comparatively large tree helped suppress the vigor of the rain. Underneath that tree, Flo reinitiated the conversation. Okay.
もうこれが最後。だから真面目に答えてくれる？
Yeah. She went straight to the point, which caught me off guard for a bit.
私はクリスさんのことが好き。私はあなたのフォルテールの音に見入られたの。だからあなたに気に入られようといろいろなことをしたし、その中には他人を傷つけるようなひどいこともあった。でもそれでも私はあなたが欲しいと思った。そのまま隠せればよかったんだけど隠せなかった。本当の私を知ってほしかった。その上であなたについてきてほしいと思ったの。もう一度言うわ。私と一緒に来て。
It was a surprisingly open-hearted confession. The true face of a girl buried in lies. Not putting up any facades, not showing any regret for her sins, just displaying a genuine desire for me. As a result, I was forced to answer her sincerely. Let's do it. I will come with you. Okay. I answered in a haze, as though having just been felled by a fever. She was wretched, yet so beautiful. Oh, wretched, yet so beautiful.
本当に？
She asked in a hesitant voice. Had her self-confidence until now just been a temporary spell? Really?
そうなんだ。
I heard her voice, and with it I recalled her singing, and the emotions mixed in. It might not be so bad to be used by this girl. Strange mentality, but go with it. She trusted no one, was grateful to no one. She would simply sing her songs, and if the need arose, spare no means to deceive people. If there was someone together with her in the future she saw, then it had to be someone she thought she could use for the rest of her life. And that role just happened to be assigned to me. In turn, I had been entranced by the touch of her beautifully pale skin and scabrous heart. Okay, now I'm scared. She's gonna turn into like a vampire and eat me. What's wrong?
認めてくれるの？
I accept you, no matter what you will come to stand against. No matter what will come to stand against you, I will always be by your side.
ファル。私の名前。
I will always be by your side, Fall. Or Foul, she just said. Foul. Dang it, I've been saying it wrong the entire time.
クリス。
We wrapped each other into a silent embrace. After a few minutes, we parted.
これからどうする？
Whatever you want.
私には戻るところはないわ。
What about the orphanage? What kind of answer is that?
あんなところには二度と戻りたくない。一番嫌いだった自分を思い出すから。
I see. Then do you want to come to my hometown with me?
そこで暮らすの？
Oh, okay, moving fast. No, anywhere is fine, but I still have to go back there at least once.
そうね。 卒業式が終わったら一緒に行こうか。
With a sense of nostalgia running through me, I pictured the streets of my faraway hometown in mind. I would probably not meet Arietta. It would only end up hurting us both. When I got home, I would write a letter to end this once and for all the while hoping that a day would come that Ari could bring herself to read it. And is that the good ending? Oh, what is this?
クリスの住んでた町って
Oh, we're actually
どんな
going.
ところなの？
We're actually going. Okay. Let me see. It's a flourishing town, but the streets aren't nearly as pretty as Piova's. It's really rural.
貴族たちのステータスシンボルとして栄えた町よりはずっといいと思うけど、でも旧市街は好きだったな。
She replied without smiling. Fall hadn't been smiling a lot lately. Or perhaps it was more accurate to say she no longer bothered to force a smile. She probably felt she had no need to keep up her flawless social facade around me. Right now, I was honestly happy about that. Besides, it wasn't like she didn't smile at all. She would when she was happy or heard something funny. She seemed more natural now than ever before. It was the true face of the girl that I only knew. That only I knew. Oh.
それから先はどうする？
I don't know, but it looks like we're going to visit some ice people. What is it? Abominable snowmen. Okay. What is this? Where are we going? It's like we're going all the way into snowbanks. Is that water right there? Are we on the Titanic? I wonder. We had talked about this a number of times before, but we had yet to come to an answer. In any case, we wouldn't end up on the streets. Our graduation recital had been rated higher than we ever would have imagined possible. In the days after, whenever we went to the institute, like for the graduation ceremony, what awaited us were numerous compliments and invitations by orchestras. Our future prospects were bright, to say the least. For now, the girl's dream hadn't ended yet. And no matter what kind of path we would be walking from now on, we would probably be together. For as long as she needed me. For as long as she would love me. Right now I can say with conviction that I loved her from the bottom of my heart. That was why I would remain by Fall's side, for she had said that she wanted to be happy.
考え事？
Yeah, I was thinking about you.
変なの。
Fall said, then went to gaze out the window as well. The train had only just departed. We hadn't even reached the mountains surrounding the city of Piova yet. On the other side of the long winding tunnel, dug through those mountains, there would no longer be any rain falling. It had been 3 years since I'd last seen those blue skies. As I pictured the scene in my mind, I lost my sense of time and surrendered myself to the gentle rocking of the train.
あ、やっとトンネルに入ったね。
Yeah, but even after we passed through it, the town we're headed for is still half a day away.
遠いね。
Yeah. That distance had often felt so excruciatingly far to me. Even so, Arietta had crossed it to visit me a few times.
このトンネルを抜けたら。
ん？
なんでもない。まだ抜けてもいないのにね。
It's a really long tunnel after all.
うん。
She agreed hesitantly, then brought her hand to her chest. I had seen her do that many times before. Was it a habit? Hey.
何？
Is that a habit of yours?
それ？
That pendant. I see you touching it sometimes and always with the pained expression on your face. Is it special to you?
そんな癖あったんだ。それに特別か。そうね。これは特別なものだと思う。
A memento?
そうね。ある意味そうなのかもしれない。これは私が唯一 初めから持ってたものだから。
Your only possession.
私が施設に預けられた時、私はこのペンダントしか持っていなかったんだって。粗末な毛布と銀のペンダント、他には名前すら持ってなかった。鳥の翼をかたどったこのペンダント、高く飛べるようにって意味だったのかな。これを私に置いていってくれた人の。
The notion of parents was unknown to her. She had grown up in an environment with only orphanage staff and children in a similar situation as her. While she didn't seem particularly sorrowful about it, she had still mentioned several times she didn't want to return there. Apparently, the only reason she'd gone back at the start of this year was because the aristocrat that picked her up had instructed her as such, for the sole reason of improving his own image.
もちろん真実を知ることはできないけどね。
She said with a self-derisive smile, stroking the pendant again. Perhaps due to her constant touching it, the dull gray wings that had been dirtied with finger marks to the point it was hard to guess what the original color had been like.
薄汚れた翼はでも君に似合っていて美しい。
What?
いつかアーシノが言ってた。ずっとこうして触っているからこんなに汚れちゃってるけど、元は綺麗な銀色だったって聞いたことがあるの。
I see.
でも安物だったからすぐにこんな色になっちゃったんだってさ。鎖も切れたから今は革の紐でつないでいるような状態。
She said with a hint of disgust, even though she kept playing with it affectionately. That's beautiful. The wings and you.
キザだね。
With that, she finally let go of the wings.
あの後アーシノとは話したの？
Just small talk, really. But he wasn't mad at me, and unlike he fears, I'm not mad at him.
仲直りできたんだ。
Officially, I guess.
よかったね。
The fact that the girl who caused it in the first place would say that didn't sit quite right with me. But I had already accepted the fact that she was that kind of person. But he never mentioned anything about you. He might not have forgiven you.
それは構わないの。それだけのことをしたんだから。恨んでくれてそれで気が晴れるのなら彼はそうすべきなの。
Isn't it a loss for you to be hated by someone?
それだけの価値のある人がそばにいてくれるから。
I didn't let those kind of words agitate me anymore. But I knew she was telling the truth, and I accepted it as such. Oh, solar flare, not solar, lens flare. A bright light suddenly burst into the car. I had to squint my eyes at the sheer brightness of it. Even so, I could not turn my eyes from the scenery outside. Ah, it's a blue sky. Finally. It's been so long since I've seen this. 3 years, in fact.
そうだね。
And now we're back going to icebergs. We still have a long way to go, but this just made me feel so much better.
よかったね。
What about you? Didn't you miss this?
この前列車に乗って帰ったばかりだからね。
Oh yeah. That's right. But it's really been a long time for me.
知ってる。
She answered flatly, then glanced outside the window. Realizing I was acting like some kind of child, I got a little embarrassed. Sorry. Falls finally smiled and shook her head as though to say she didn't care. Then she brought up something I never would have expected.
ねえ、クリス。
Yeah?
町に着いたらアリエッタに会いに行かない？
No? Why?
あなたは彼女に会わなくちゃいけないと思う。
But why?
多分そうしないと私たちは先に進めない。ずっと思ってたの。クリスはまだ アリエッタのことを気にかけている。
I won't deny that, but right now the only one I...
知ってる。でもね、全てを清算してからクリスとの生活を始めたいって思うのは私のわがままなのかな。
No.
ならいい？
We? I pledged I wouldn't do anything. I would do anything I could for her. So I... Okay. Answered as such.
クリス、ごめんね。
Why are you apologizing? It's okay. If you want me to do this, then I will.
その代わりに
Fall slowly took off her necklace and tore off the 2 wings from the leather cord. Why? Oh, and she presented one of them to me. Thank you.
これは私の翼だよ。高く高く飛んでいくための。その片方をクリスに預けるわ。一つの翼では飛んでいけないけど、二人ならどこまでも行けるように。
Thanks. I accepted the wing and gripped it lightly. While the wing had dulled, it had by no means lost its beauty. I imagined my future with her now that I had one of the wings to support her.
いつまでもそばにいてくれる？
Of course. I think she just
私も
proposed.
あなたのそばにいてあげる。ずっと。
Is that the end? I think so. What? Forney, what are you doing? Forney has turned into a somewhat nyan cat. Going through the sky. Okay. Some music going on. Forney. Could you tell me what you're doing? Oh, okay, it's credits. Well, that was Symphonic Rain. I mean, if there's interest in it, I can go back and try another arc. But otherwise, I think I'm gonna move on to another game. Not sure what yet, but I really like this. Kind of until the very end. I did not like that curveball at all. Fall. I don't even know. She said it, and so that's another thing. I've been saying her name wrong the entire time. It's foul. Like, I thought it was falsy, but apparently it's falsita. I don't even know. I don't know anything about fall. She blew my mind. In a bad way. But I really like this. It was a nice change of pace from Tawa Shoujo. It's very different. But I like how I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I gotta say, I don't know if I would play. Maybe I'd go on Lisei's path, or Lucy, whatever. Just so I can get her song. Because I don't, and Torda's song. I don't even have Always Smiling. Is that Lisei's? Or Melody? I just have Rain Music, and then there's so many songs I don't have. How do I get those? Well, yeah, I like it. I liked it a lot. I'm just rambling because I want to get through these credits, but... So anyone who watches this, tell me in the comments if you want to see another arc. don't know if I'll come back to it immediately, like as in tomorrow or Monday, but if there is interest in it, I will definitely play another arc. I never even met Arietta. That's another thing that I was kind of disappointed about. I never met Arietta. Wow. Okay. Number 1, Nakahara, my fanboy, Mugi. You go, Mugi. Okay. Kogado Studio. I might check if they have other games, because I like their writing. Their integration of... Oh, am I... What? Oh! We had returned to the City of Rain again. I intently played my Fortelle for the girl. Okay. I could feel her touch on my back and hear her singing next to my ear. It had become a common scene in this room we had moved into together.
クリス、私がずっとそばにいてあげる。
The faded wings touched each other with a dull sound. Where would these wings lead us? Where could we go? The sound was soon washed out by the sound of my Fortelle, with the girl's voice overlapping. I continued playing the keyboard with a clear mind, embedding all of my overflowing emotions into it. Even after finishing her song, she did not move.
愛してる、クリス。あなたも、あなたの奏でるフォルテールの音も。ずっとそばにいるから。
She whispered into my ear, then displayed a content smile. Okay. And I believe that's it. Well, once again, I think it ended well. It was just right before the end that I was like, Fall, are you kidding me? Yeah, that was the end. Is this Torta or Arietta? I still don't know. Anyways, if you want me to come back to this, just say so. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this series. I certainly did, and thanks for watching.